Hey everyone, welcome to the Daredevil podcast, episode 42. This week, we're just going to kind of random discuss again. We're going to talk about just what's been going on in our lives. And then towards the end of the podcast, we'll actually be talking about movies that we felt deserved video game adaptations and what our vision of what those would be like. So we hope you enjoy. Let's get into the episode, guys. So I'll go first, just kind of start us off with everything. So for those who don't know, that are not in Discord and stuff, and a couple of the other groups I'm in, my dad's back in the hospital again. Similar situation, except for it's not as bad as it was when we almost lost him back in August. He had a spider bite, we think, and we believe that's maybe be the root cause, but he had a small heart attack, drove himself to the hospital. They got him on nitrous to kind of make the nitrous pills to help with the heart attack, just in case it happens again. They're doing a lot of tests right now. We're concerned about a blood clot that may be going through his veins right now. So, but that's as far as I know at the moment. But everything, he's good so far. I've been talking with him. On top of that, my son went to school on Friday. One of the kids up there was sick. We thought he came home. He was all fine. Saturday, Sunday, he had a headache, wasn't feeling good. It was kind of all on me, all on my wife and everything, just because he needed someone to cuddle with because he wasn't feeling well. And then that night he started throwing up. So we thought it might have been a stomach bug. Typically happens, kids at that age, they don't pay attention to what they're doing. And, of course, when they're around their friends, they're all around them. They don't have no boundaries or understanding of what sickness is. And, but yeah, he, when we went to the doctors, found he's positive for COVID. So I'm in quarantine at the moment. My wife's in quarantine at the moment, which is, one of the things we've been worrying about, just because I'm asthmatic. My wife is asthmatic. And, but so far everything's been okay. He's gotten over his fevers. He's, seems like his normal self, but we'll see tonight and stuff. So for the next 5 days or so, we'll be, at home while I work, and hopefully I won't get it. And we'll go from there. But other than that, everything's been okay. Today's been a doozy, but we'll get into that after you guys kind of tell us what's going on with y'all.
Well, on top of your dad, I had one of my older boys say, "Hey, we have no place to stay. Can we come there?" And well, they're here.
Yeah.
So that happened. I got that word within an hour of your dad. Oh,
yeah.
Yay. David?
I guess I unfortunately can't give any bad news.
Good. That's
Yay.
a good thing.
Yay.
Hey.
There you go. Yeah.
The cycle is broken.
It's just wrapping up the school year, right? It's trying to get my son focused on getting his schedule situated for next year, since he's doing dual enrollment right now, and trying to figure out what all college classes we're going to have to sign him up for, for the next semester, get him sorted out with that. Meanwhile, my daughter, she, I'm not a fan of these things, but the kids love them. It's good for them, all that. But, she graduated from her grade, which, whatever. And they handed out a bunch of awards, and apparently she got almost all of them, right? Like all the way down to there's a special award that they only give out to like one girl and one boy for the class, and it's all based on how they behave towards their the other students, right? Their peers. Mm-hmm. And she's always like the teachers talked about how she always goes out of her way to help out her friends, to help out the other kids, that she's, constantly creating little things to give to them, to give to other people, to kind of like brighten up their days and all that stuff. So she's very cognizant of other kids. And so because of all that, she got this one special award that, you know, only her and one other person from her class got. So it was really cool, you know, just those little moments, getting to see, you know, that's the best part of being a parent, right? Is seeing those moments, seeing as your kids progress and kind of the people that they're turning into, right? And seeing if anything that you've been doing is right, or at least kind of right, or at least maybe they listened that one time to that one thing that you told them, and they took at least that to heart a little bit, enough to where it maybe did something positive, you know?
Cool.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, Edward's that way in his class. He'll try to help out and stuff, and he's supposed to have his graduation stuff this week as well. But because of everything going on, he's gonna miss out on it. But I'm sure he'll be able to get his awards afterwards. But so I know that we were going to talk about the movie soundtracks, but we want to dedicate that to be a particular episode on its own. So I thought of having something fun in light of what's going on to just kind of get our minds off of stuff, is just talk about movies, books,
Other media.
that you feel that should have had a video game adaptation, and giving our thoughts on how we feel these games would be, you know, how we would like to see them versus, like, you know, some of the bad ones we used to get back in the day. But I know for me, one of the things I'd love to see is, and it's funny because a lot of my movies are going to be John Carpenter movies, but there's other ones that I'd love to see, you know, video games for. But I'd love to see either a beat 'em up, you know, 16-bit, some kind of a sprite-based beat 'em up based off of either Big Trouble in Little China or They Live. You know, going around, you know, you beating up the aliens, or beating up the Wing Kong Exchange with David Lopan and all that. I think it would be great with bosses. You know, that's my number one. So I would love to see a beat 'em up done of those two movies.
A Big Trouble in Little China scroller would be really cool.
Yeah.
That I think that would be fun.
And you could do 4 players on that one, because you could have, you know,
Yeah.
Eddie, Jack, Wang, and Egg Chen. And then maybe have some unlockables, you know,
Right.
and, you know.
It'd be really cool. Somebody could do like a remasking of Mario, but like Jack Burton as Mario, and one of the ladies as Princess Peach, and then
Yeah.
Neb Lopan, and
Yeah.
he's jumping up all the time, throwing fireballs at
What
you.
the heck is Gracie Law doing here?
That would be fun.
Yeah.
But I'm having to think way back on which ones I think would be, because nowadays there's so much cross-pollination.
Well, and there's like so many movies that get games, right? But maybe they're not, like what you said, right? Maybe they weren't
They're
very
not
good.
good.
Yeah.
There was no thought process. It was like by the numbers, you know, here's a game, and great, thank you.
Some of them come out, right? You don't really get around to it. Like, you know, a couple episodes ago when we were talking about action movies, and we all kind of like threw out John Wick. It's like you'd always like, you kind of like to see those kinds of games where it's just going around and just being able to kick butt in that sort of style, right? Kind of like the way what was it, Pistol Whip on the Oculus makes you feel very much like a John Wick sort of world, where it's an on rails little shooter, but it gives you that kind of feel. But you know, they came out with that John Wick Hex game, right? Which I've never played. I've seen a bunch of those Hex games before. They've done one for like Hitman and Deus Ex and all those others, and that style of games never really I don't know, drawn me in that much. But you know what? I think John Wick would make pretty kind of a cool little beat 'em up, but being able to have maybe a little bit more of a focus on ranged, right? But not like, because it's easy to say that kind of a movie or something like that being done in like a first person or third person shooter or action or something like that. But if you were to actually go to more of like a beat 'em up style, but have maybe a little bit more focus on ranged in that sort of sense, almost like a hybrid of beat 'em ups and Metal Slug put together would be kind of interesting, right? As you go through, like, run out of something, and so then you have to beat somebody up and take theirs, right? Like what he does in the movie.
Heavy machine gun. Just have someone do the narration voice like that. And when he picks up some other weapon, dual wielding pistols.
Right.
Yeah. All of these should be narrated and commentary done by the guy who did Duke Nukem's voice. just universally.
But,
machine gun, balls of steel.
But you know, if you also threw out books out there, right? So one of the trilogies of books that I really enjoyed that should have gone on longer, but unfortunately the author passed away before he could do more in the series, was it's called the Booty. I think that's how you pronounce it. It started off with a book called When Gravity Falls. And the entire concept of it is it's a cyberpunk setting that basically the author lived in lived in New Orleans. So he took the French Quarter and just installed it like over in some generic town that he made up over in the Middle East. And the cyberpunk side of it is you have all these people that have these installations in like it's tying in, they've got hardware tying into their brain. And it's like they have a series of little USB slots that run around their ears. And what they can do is they have all these different chips that they can plug into themselves that do anything from modify their personality, right? Like it'll make a person feel more brave, or it'll make a person feel more timid, or, you know, however they feel like feeling. Or they can plug in entire personalities of other people. Like a guy needs to go and do some detective work, so he plugs in Sherlock Holmes into his brain, and then he believes himself to be Sherlock Holmes, and so he goes around and functions that way. I don't know how you would translate that into a game necessarily, right? It would definitely be kind of Deus Ex in the sense that you'd probably have like an open world in a city, right? Being able to go around and
Platform.
deal with various, mysteries and things as they come up. But I've always liked that idea, that concept of being able to alter your brain in that way and be able to play up on that a little bit, right? Of maybe depending on what chips you had in, you would actually see different things, like different things would stand out to you in the world, right? You would notice certain specific things in like the HUD or whatever. And I think that would be pretty cool. But again, I've always just liked the concepts that were put forth in that story. It was a really interesting idea.
Mhm.
That kind of got me thinking. The Stig Larsson stuff. That might be an interesting game. The girl with the dragon tattoo and of those.
Oh, yeah.
That might make an interesting game. You know, a little bit of mystery, a little bit of drama, maybe a little bit of horror. Not sure what format it would probably, maybe platform, open world, a little bit.
Maybe you could do like a point click adventure, like
Search and Find series.
Yeah.
That would definitely be good for that.
I know for me, one of the ones that I've talked about this before, but I think it's just such a missed opportunity, and maybe it's because the series isn't as well known as it used to be. But Bio Booster Armor Guyver would be fantastic as a fighting game, and especially if like Arc System Works did it using the same cell shading technique that they use for Guilty Gear and Dragon Ball Fighters.
And Grand Blue.
Yeah, and having the whole being able to transform into like Zoanoids or the Guyver or the Zoloids, and just having this all-out battle would be fantastic. It's just such a missed opportunity, and I'm surprised that we've never gotten as far as to my knowledge, a Guyver game. It lends itself to be that. You could have like an RPG style game.
Yeah.
With playing with Sho and Agito and who else? Atom, when they get him later on. But yeah, it would be great. But it's never been done. I mean, I don't know if it's just maybe because of the violence, but I've probably seen other animes that have gotten really good games that had the violence in it.
Well, you had, what was it, Fist of the North Star that was done by the same did Yakuza.
Yeah,
And you've got just exploding because of
yeah, Kenshiro with his pressure point style. I can't remember what his style is called. But I'm just trying to think of what other movies that would be great. That, like, I know that it's funny because I've always thought the Terminator would be great, or Aliens would be a great RTS. We either play with the aliens or the Marines, or you're playing a Terminator. It's Skynet versus the Resistance, and you have like your tech tree of all what you could build and stuff like that. And now they are making a Terminator RTS, but it's based off of Dark Fate, which is like, why? I don't want to play this. I want to play Terminator. I want to play with Skynet tools, not.
Well, dude, that's where the modding community is so awesome, right? Because like once upon a time, I would have said that I would love to have seen a Fallout done as an RTS, and then one day I was sitting in the living room, and all of a sudden I hear Fallout music coming from my computer as my son's on it. And I turn around and he's playing an RTS. That's all Fallout, like every last bit of it. It was for Hearts of Iron 4. They did a complete mod that overhauled the entire system to where all it is North America and I think like the northern portion of South America, and you've got like Caesar's, like everything. You've got the Texas Brotherhood. You've got like the entire map is spanned with all these different factions, all these different groups, and it's cool because you can trigger events from the games, right? Like you can trigger the assault on the Hoover Dam, right? You can trigger different things that occur in the game, and that it's just there's so much love and attention that got put into that mod. It's like, and that's the funny thing, right? So many of these games come out and it gives this groundwork, and then the modding community comes in and they're like, okay, we see what you did here, but we're going to do it better.
Yep.
And we're going to post it over here. And it just, if you don't know how to install mods, it sucks, but it also kind of is a bit of a motivator to say, hey, this is actually something I want to get into. Let me see if I can figure out how to do it without, exposing my computer to some horrible, viruses and crap.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought of another one. Of my favorite book series is the Spencer book series by Robert B. Parker. Okay. Love the character Spencer, great detective, ex-cop, stuff like that. That would be a good open world game for me personally, because it would be a fair amount of action and stuff like that, but it requires you to think a lot more. His writing always required you to think a little bit more. On top of guiding you through a good story per book, you were invested pretty early if you were into the series per each book, and you're sitting there along with it trying to figure out and piece it together as you go. And for me, that would be a fun game to play.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some like cartoons that would have been great to have as
That's kind of hard because a lot of them did become games.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, the animated. Wait, no. Oh yeah, and, you just start thinking about them, and almost. I mean, because the thing about cartoons, right, is the whole premise and point of them is marketing to children, and if you're not making at least generic, horrible, just stitched together platformers out of your stuff, then you're not doing it right, right?
Well, I mean, like the one I would add is like there's been G.I. Joe games, right? And I've talked about this before, but I'd love to see a Call of Duty G.I. Joe game.
That would be pretty cool.
It'd be fantastic. That's your factions. You could play like the Joes versus Cobra versus like the Dreadnoughts, and maybe like the Iron Grenadiers or something, or the October Guard. And you have, because you did have the different type of archetypes for the characters. Your heavy gunner, your explosive expert, your espionage, your run and gun. Just by whatever character you pick. I mean, it would fit right in the archetype, the mold that you're trying to fit, and it'd be great.
Thinking along those lines, I know that there is a game that exists somewhere out there, I think for the PS1, a world that I absolutely love, and I wish they would do more of it, is Vamp Hunter D. And if you took like Vamp Hunter D and put it into like the format of Devil May Cry, right? Of D just going around and just absolutely destroying tons upon tons of monsters, and then getting into these epic, boss battles against various. They don't even all have to be vampires, right? Like Bloodlust showed us that he could be fighting werewolves. You could even pit him against the Marcus brothers for the fun of it, right? Stuff like that. And if you get further into the books, man, the books get crazy. They're young adult novels, so if you're going into them thinking that you're going to get some kind of epic, super well written stories, you probably shouldn't go in there. But at least the concepts and stuff that are there are really cool. But I would love, especially with what Capcom did with the most recent Devil May Cry 5, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I would love that so much. But I love D, right? I love that whole world. It's such a cool.
On that same token, would be great if it was, like Skyrim or open world. Just be able to explore the landscapes of, 10,000 AD. Just to walk around, go to these towns, meet people that you may have come across before, run quests and stuff for the town while taking on different monsters at night and during the day would be great. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Like, I'd love to see, like, I don't know, man. Because the Back to the Future games were great. The Telltale game, they kind of expanded on the story, so it's almost a spiritual sequel to the first two movies, or the first three movies.
And they're doing a sequel to the fairy tale one, right? The Wolf Among Us.
Yeah, I think
or
so.
Whatever.
Yeah,
I really dug that, but I really liked Fables quite a bit. Fables is a really good series, so I was very happy to see that finally get some love after that ABC show absolutely butchered the concept. But that's beside the point.
Well, I was going to suggest a Stranger Things game, but apparently I'm out of touch and didn't
there is a
realize that
couple
there
of
are
them.
several of them, and
Yeah,
they're
several of them.
beat 'em up styles.
Yeah.
Which absolutely works.
I mean, there's some ones that are really good that that deserve to love. Man, just like trying to think of stuff that would be just like looking at the back wall of David's. It'd be great. Is it like a Telltale style game of Red Dwarf?
Huh.
Following the crew and whatever antics they're going through at the time, just do that and get everybody come back and do the voices.
Now that he's getting more and more love, right? The one superhero that I feel like deserves a game at this point, especially after all the Arkham series went through and did their thing, I think it would be cool to be Daredevil, right? Because you get kind of a Spider-Man-y ability to traverse the city, while at the same time, like kind of seeing the world through Daredevil's eyes, and just being able to have like the cool, interesting combat, right? That you could work in with that. It would be probably like sort of an Arkham style,
or Batman, the Spider-Man, the Marvel Spider-Man game.
Yeah. But take it to the Netflix side, right? Like make it that grittiness, like give it that grittiness to it. I think would be pretty sweet. But unfortunately, Marvel Spider-Man probably sucked a little bit of the air out of that balloon, because you fight Kingpin and all that in that one. So it's like, okay, are you going to focus on stick in the hand and all that stuff, or which way would you go with it? But I think it'd be cool. But I just like Daredevil overall. I think it'd be pretty awesome to see done in a video game format.
Well, you think about like different heroes that haven't gotten a video game, Flash being one of them. That'd be kind of cool, Arkham Knight style. With his speed running around Central City.
I mean, if you want to talk about heroes, right? The most unfortunate hero of all time is Superman. And there's actually it's not really a beta, but there was a game that a guy came out with that God, what is it called? It's on Steam. Man, I'd have to go look it up. But you're basically playing Superman, right? And but what's cool about it is they hid these little Easter eggs throughout the game. So in that, you can actually go over to a point and there's like a little substation, right, that generates electricity. And if you stand in front of it and interact with it long enough, you basically become the Flash, and it gives you super speed. And so you can actually decide to play the game for a little bit, running around at super speed. And it's a short little game. There's like 3 little bitty boss fights that you interact with and go do. But as you go through it, you level up, you get, you unlock more and more cool powers. Like you eventually get heat vision and all the other stuff. But it really shows that you can do a good Superman game. And supposedly Rocksteady was doing that until we found out they were doing the stupid Suicide Squad game and the Gotham Knights. And it's like,
yeah.
I get that y'all are just going for the games as a service bit, but
the cash grab.
Yeah,
it's the cash grab, man.
It's killing me.
I will say this: the original Atari Superman game was fun. Way back in the day. I mean, back when games were 8-bit and tiny little things and 2 colors. Ooh.
Yeah. Well, I love
it was fun because you had to go into the phone booth to change the Superman all the time. That was great. I loved that game.
I love the Death and Return of Superman for the Super Nintendo. I thought that was a great beat 'em up.
I never got to play that.
Yeah, it was fun. Being able to play the four Supermen, and then you can unlock the Man of Steel himself without the powers, and then you went back to Superman again.
Okay.
But trying to think of other ones that would be really cool to see, because even ideas for things that would be better games. I mean, I love the Turtles games, but it'd be great to have a flag for Rocksteady to pick up the Turtles license and do a really good, you can switch between the Turtles. You have different missions and stuff, and you're going through New York taking on the Foot Clan or other things that are going on. Have it a little bit more darker, more Mirage style.
We actually did get that kind of. It was back on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. It was something from the Shadows. It was a short little game, and the intercut scenes between it were very poorly animated. But the actual meat of the game was a 3D roaming around beat 'em up style. But it was cool because each of the turtles you unlock, you would unlock different powers for them. Like Donnie got the anti-gravity gauntlet that you could summon it up and basically knock a bunch of the bad guys up in the air. It was a cool little bitty game that I would have loved to have gotten a bigger studio and more money and love and time and attention poured into it, because it was a really fun and engaging game. It was a little short.
Shit, I just had it one too. Because between that and then, did you just think of studios, right? Different studios that would be cool to make certain games. And I'm trying to remember what I was going to say.
Oh, it's Out of the Shadows, by the way, was the game.
On PS4 or PS3?
PS3.
Okay. Because there was the one that the guys who did was it Ninja Theory or whoever it was that did the Transformers Devastation, and they did the Turtles one for the PS4. That wasn't as good, but it looked like it was going to be good. A Starship Troopers game would be great.
Troopers would be cool.
Yeah.
Especially if you go more towards the CG animated movies, right? Where they actually get the mech
drop
suits
ships and stuff. Yeah. And
all that stuff. Heck yeah, man. That'd be awesome. Yeah, but the chances of you getting a good one of those is about as good of a chance as getting a decent Warhammer 40K game. Because people have been waiting on those forever. there's diamonds in the rough that drift up a little bit, like the what was it, the fan made one, the Mechanus, and then the new Space Marine game looks like it might be all right, but
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
those are so hit and miss. But it'd be the same thing, right? Just slap me in some power armor and send me at the bugs. Let's just go blow up because it'd be awesome.
I wouldn't mind like a old school, like, you know, Untouchables type of game where you're, you know, in that time period and stuff, you're investigating Al Capone and all that stuff, and then having these shootouts and stuff going around.
And they could definitely expand it beyond that to deal with other criminals of the time and stuff like that.
Because if you use like the era from, or the engine from LA Noire,
That would work. That would very much work. Yeah. Yeah.
I want the special armor that the main character had. Cole, plot armor. I won't get hit or any damage.
You know what? I'm gonna reach over here into left field for a second and pull one in. What I would love to see, and I would want it to be voiced by Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill.
Yeah.
21 Jump Street in the style of like the Persona games, right? But instead of at night, you being like all the supernatural stuff, that's where you go do the cop side of it, right? It's like
You're in school trying to be the kids and stuff, trying to pass the test and stuff.
You're actually like actively trying to get in with the kids, and you're actually going through school. Same thing with Persona, right? Like you have to go through the tests. You can go to study hall and increase your intelligence. Just take the entire Persona formula again, except for the supernatural side of it.
Yeah.
Implement it with Jump Street, and then just the other half of it could be LA Noire style, where you're traveling around the city, but you got to be careful because you got to manage your time because you still need to get up for school the next day, or you got to go to that movie with Sally on Saturday, right? It's like that kind of stuff. I love that. That'd be awesome.
Let's run with that and make the teachers all the original cast from the original 21 Jump Street.
Yeah, the original 21 Jump Street. Yeah.
You know, Peter DeLuise, Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Have all them be the teachers.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
So I've always wanted a Grand Theft Auto where you actually play an undercover cop. That you're just
That'd be interesting.
In too deep, but like, could you imagine like them doing like a Miami Vice type game just like that?
Yeah.
Where you play, you know, Crockett and Tubbs going around and doing different investigations and all this other stuff, getting in deep, and then having your big gun fight out at the towards the end of it, and just make it episodic. Not like the whole episode, the whole game's like, you know, oh, here's part 1 and part 2. No, but like every time you're playing it, it's like you're playing an episode of the show.
All right, let's take a quick sidestep here. Find one TV show or movie that you don't ever want to be a game. Like for me, Full House. I never want to see a Full House game ever.
What are you talking about? Your daily slice of life, like not a dating sim, because that would be awkward. But just no, you can absolutely do that.
No.
What are you talking about?
No, all the transitions. It would be like 5 minutes of playing, 20 minutes of transition screens with the moral and the plant and the lot, you know, and then 5 minutes of playing, and then Danny Tanner giving you another 15 minutes of stuff, and you would never get anywhere.
No, because I want to unlock the Marsha trophy. That's what I want to do.
That would be Brady Bunch.
I'm sorry, that's Brady Bunch. My bad. I failed. I apologize.
Wah, wah.
Crap in my brain.
Okay. Oh wait, you know what? A Brady Bunch game might be fun because you could have a whole section of purposely trying to hit Marsha in the face with a football.
There you go. Perfect.
and she's dodging and weaving and bobbing, and you're sitting there throwing footballs at her, trying to score that hit to be able to move on to the next level. Could be a thing.
And you have a cheat code with a large football that you can't dodge.
Well, so you have 2 cheat codes, right? One of the cheat code would be the giant football. The other one would be to give her a giant head.
And she's like this. The physics trying to hold her head up while she's like dodging.
Yes.
Just Marsha flopping around with a little skinny body, you know, like a pretzel thin body and a big old head.
I'm trying to think of a show that
what show do I like but not like enough to see in another format? That's a difficult question. I gotta be honest. I mean, almost every single one of them would be some kind of slice of life type thing, just because I'm
And you don't
not.
want to do like Friends, where it's like the whole action of the game is you going to work your job, so you just come back and hang out with your friends at your apartment that you can't afford.
All right. What was the one with Urkel?
Family Matters.
Family Matters, yeah.
Anybody want to see that?
Yes.
Yeah, with the
Explain
dad
that,
being a
please.
detective and stuff and helping John McClane.
That's right.
Not related.
Now that would be interesting.
So that would be part of the game. The other part would be the potential of you being Urkel and slowly developing the machine that turns you into his alter ego.
Oh,
And
Jaleel
all the
White.
failures and seeing all the horrible Gotenks-like transformations that come from it. Because we never saw that. That show never gave us that. Urkel, had to have messed up on that machine at least a few times.
So it's like the fusion. So you came
Yeah.
out fat
Yeah.
or extremely gaunt for one of them.
What would be great was instead of it being Fat Urkel, it just turns into Fat Albert for no apparent reason. It's just he goes in Urkel, comes out Albert. It's like, what happened?
Wrong cartoon. Hold on, give me a second. Gets back.
Yeah,
Every time he steps out of the machine, did I do that?
Yes. I'm absolutely
Okay, I'm on board with that now. I'm invested now. Where can we take this?
You can make anything work if you just try. If you put enough.
What show would I not want to have this freaking? Because like I go, Jason the World Warriors would be fantastic game.
Yeah.
Where you're driving around in the vehicles and stuff, fighting the plant bosses. With that awesome intro playing in the background as your theme music.
Okay. Throwing this out there as an aside, none of the soap operas.
That's what I was about to say. I was about to say that what's that one show that everybody was watching a handful of years ago that was just like Drama, the TV show, right? Where this
you
is
would know
us.
better than I would.
I think it's called This Is Us because my wife was watching it.
Yeah.
And every single episode, I would walk in and be like, okay, so what happened now? And she's like, oh, he just found his dad that he hasn't seen in 30 years because his dad gave him up, and he found out that this is the reason why, and now they're trying to reconnect. I'm like, oh, okay, it's kind of heart strumming the old heartstrings. And then I'd come in the next day, I'd be like, okay, what happened in the episode now? And she's like, well, it found out that the dad has cancer, and this other person, their kid is going through depression and all this other stuff. And just as the season progressed, I'm like, this sounds horrible. Like, what's going on? It's like every awful life event that could happen to a person is happening to every character in the show, just so people can cry at the end of every episode. And I'm like, I get that for some people, I guess there's some catharsis to that, but I can't do it. So yeah, crap like that. No, I'm good with.
What is it? So you would have like what, Saved by the Bell, where every episode you play Zach Morris trying to get out of a situation he got himself into in the first place.
No, you'd want to once in a while you'd want Screech. Once in a while you'd want to have something with Screech, man. And then as it progresses, bring more of the actual Dustin Diamond persona back into the Screech character and have him go way off the rails and wear karate outfits and do blow and
here's a good one.
Oh boy.
I think a Gargoyles RPG would be fantastic.
Okay, yes. A turn-based.
Or a tactical RPG.
Okay, tactical might work too, yeah.
Because you can add the level of them flying, the y-axis. Change the way the style plays.
Okay, yeah. That
them versus Xanatos and Demona and them.
Okay, I could see that. Because, like I said, most of the cartoons from back in the day ended up becoming a game in some capacity. Whether or not they were good, it needs to be debated.
I was about to say 90% of them just got turned into generic platformers, right? It's just like, oh, yeah, hey, here's a TV, here's a cartoon show or whatever. Yeah, let's just take the platformer format and slap this face on it and give them some voices and some music, and we'll call it good.
Right. Cash grab.
Absolutely. 100%.
That's what they should have a rating for, whether or not it's a cash grab.
So, well, how would you create a video game for sliders? I don't think it would work, but you may be able to.
Open world. Absolutely open world. You know, because the fact that you can slide in a number of places. Same thing with Quantum Leap.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was more direction in Quantum Leap, but still, you could jumble it up and be anywhere at any point in time, and then work backwards trying to figure out what your purpose is on that one. But as far as sliders go, you know, you would definitely want to give it a little room for, you know, exploration and interpretation. That could work. Which reminds me, I think I would like to see a Warehouse 13 game. Again, open world.
Yeah, I would say the same thing for Stargate. Stargate would be cool. The TV show, you know, as an open world.
Okay, yeah.
Worlds and stuff.
Because they did X-Files games and those were horrible.
15 canceled video game movies that we never got to see, which I don't care.
Video game movies? That's a little different, right?
Yeah, that is totally different. That's
All
not what I
right.
meant, but
All right. Since we're on the topic of stuff that wasn't very good, let's bring up Tron for a minute. Okay. There's been several Tron games. Were there any of them that were really any good outside of the original one? Like the light cycle? I mean, the original, there was the light cycle game, and then there was the one where you were the what's that machine called? The red, I'm drawing a freaking blank. The bad guy things that came after you.
The oh god, recognizers?
Was that it? Yeah, where Flynn was in one and he was destroying it, and no, yes, the thing behind him.
that was or
Is that the recognizer?
I can't remember at the moment.
Your dad's probably gonna be screaming at this, going, "It's
this."
You're talking about the big
Yeah,
like
yes,
the big
thing,
M,
right?
the big floating
Huh?
M, the big floating M.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a recognizer.
okay."
I mean, my favorite version of any Tron game was Disney Infinity 2.0, where my son and I would just hop into the sandbox.
Mhm.
We would spawn recognizers, and we'd hop in them, and it would start playing Daft Punk's theme
Erased, yeah.
from the movie, and we would just fly around trying to shoot each other. But because the turn angles were the turn radius was the exact same on both of them, we were just spinning around infinitely until one of us finally jumped out and just started attacking the other person directly. Yeah, that's my favorite version of a Tron game.
Okay. Well,
You could also summon light cycles in that as well, and just drive around with your light cycles and create the little barrier behind you, all that good stuff.
okay.
Disney Infinity, it was an all right game in the sandbox, and the little figures that came with it were pretty dope.
So Akira would be great as a video game, and I would do
Oh, yes.
I would almost do it like Grand Theft Auto in a way where you can't steal vehicles and anything, but well, you could, because later on at some point, you know, Kaneda can't use his bike, or he wouldn't be able to get to it depending on if it followed the
You know what? If
original manga.
you think about it, he didn't try to steal somebody else's stuff. He just kept figuring out how to get there. So if you took that aspect out of it, but made it so that you ended up having to go on foot or try to get another way there besides stealing a vehicle, that would add to the uniqueness of the whole story in the game.
Yeah, because I can imagine you doing like missions with your gang, you know,
Yeah.
The mission like in the manga, even though they were the rival gang was the clowns, they eventually became friends with the leader of the clowns. And then you know, then him doing maybe missions for the military, trying to get information about where his friend is. You know, I think that'd be a really cool idea to be able to do, and to see it.
Yeah.
To be able to just drive on his motorcycle would be fantastic. Or
Yeah.
recreate the whole scene where he's battling Tetsuro at the Olympic Stadium.
Yeah. a side game could be Tetsuo versus the psychic kids there. That could be a whole.
Well, you could do that too. You could do like, you could split it up where it's like, it's most part of it's Kaneda, the other part of it's
Tetsuo, right? Yeah, that would work too.
What's funny is you said Tetsuo, and I immediately started to think of what was it Tetsuo, the Metal Man,
Yeah.
the really weird Japanese movie, because Shudder actually just got both of those, the first two of those movies. What is that called? Do you know what movie I'm talking about?
No.
Are you aware of it?
Yeah, Tetsuo something. I can't remember. No, I know what you're talking about. I just can't remember the name at that moment.
It's such a weird. The Iron Man, Tetsuo the Iron Man.
Yeah.
All right, you're gonna put the link in the chat.
It's when I say it's a weird movie, I mean it's avant-garde Japanese.
I don't mind that.
Dude grows a drill penis at the end.
Yeah, dude, like he starts like falling in love with like stabbing himself with metal, and he starts just making metal come out of his body.
That's a simplification of it, but yeah, say that.
Wow. All right, now I'm interested. Now I'm invested.
So if you got Shudder, or if you haven't ever gotten Shudder's free trial, go grab it. And like I said, they've got the first two. I've never seen the second one. I don't know that I want to go back and rewatch the first one. But yeah, it's some weird stuff in there.
So let's think of like horror movies that would be great as.
That's what I was trying to think of, right? And one that I've always liked the idea of it, and I don't know how, like, what kind of a story you would tell through the game, but there's the Omega Man, or what's the Last Man on Earth, Legend,
I Am Legend, or whatever.
I Am Legend, right? Where the entire idea, like part of the idea of it would be open world, but it would be very resource management kind of heavy, right? Because you would have to be constantly going out to go get resources and things to make sure that your home remains, protected and steady and all that. Because that's kind of how the book starts out, right? Is he's always going out, kind of marking off areas of the city as he goes, and the whole time he's kind of keeping supplies and all that together. I know in the Will Smith movie, they added the bit of him sending out that radio signal to try and find other people. I don't remember that being very important in the book. It was just eventually he ran into another person, right, which turned out to be a daywalker, if I remember right. And eventually it progressed. The story progressed through that. And maybe that might be the way that you do it, right? You do open world, and then there are random event triggers that happen throughout that kind of change things up, right? Like your car breaking down and you having to figure out how to get back home before night sets and stuff like that, right? I think that would be a pretty cool concept of a game to try and work through.
Be like GTA with zombies.
Vampires, but yeah.
Well, okay, same difference in some cases. All right. I have one. The 5 Deadly Venoms, the old Shaw Brothers movie.
Mm-hmm.
That would make a cool game. Each one of the 5 guys that got the powers, and then some are good and some are bad, and you got to go through and figure out who's who, and then they have the big martial arts fights and stuff like that. That could be fun. And basically just about any style of game you put it.
Yeah.
Because you start getting into the old school 70s stuff, like the Asian stuff that started coming over in droves. There's a lot of potential there.
And it's funny because you just recently had that game Sifu, right? Which kind of did a really good and interesting take on martial arts style games in general. Yep. And it'd be cool to see that maybe progress to some other level, right? Of a little bit more of a more in-depth, maybe beat 'em up.
Well, could you imagine like Enter the Dragon like that?
Yes. Enter the Dragon would definitely make a good beat 'em up scroller game.
Mhm.
I mean, just go retro with it, right back to the old look of the time. You could absolutely do that. That would be cool.
You know, one series I've always wanted to see a decent game come out of, and they've had multiple games come out to varying degrees of success, and a lot of it is sort of RTS, but not. I would like to see a good Gundam game, right? Like a good mech game that's not just like, I get that BattleTech exists, right? And I on the spectrum of mecha, I lean more towards the weeb side because that's just what I grew up with. So the idea of the walking just tanks that are BattleTech, that's cool and all, but I kind of want the human looking mecha.
Yeah, I want my Valkyrie from Robotech, or my Gundam from my GPO2 or GPO3 from Stardust Memory Gundam. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to see From Software. I know they're working on the next Armored Core, but that'd be really cool to see them do a Armored Core style Gundam game. But I'm really looking forward to that new Gundam game that's kind of like Call of Duty.
Okay.
Yeah, those it's like the like all the Gundam games that have been coming out recently are all the arena type ones. It's like I'd rather just kind of see a cool, I don't know.
I get you. I'd love to see it go back to like Journey to Jaburo or Encounters in Space on PS2, where it was basically following the storyline of the original series, and you were playing Armoro, or maybe like you could play other people if they did something like that, where it's just reliving the stories, but with this new high-tech graphics and just, you know, being able to worry about like, you know, your beam rifle not having enough bullets, energy rounds, or whatever.
I would be down for it to just be turned into like a turn-based strategy game, right? Like being able to stuff and all that.
Yeah. Well, but that's what the big the Robot Wars is basically.
Yeah.
But it's everything.
But that's the problem, right? It is everything.
Yes,
so
it is.
Them trying to get the licensing for all that stuff to get it over here is always a pain. Like, yeah, the Super Robot Wars. Like I played Super Robot Wars Tizen 1 and 2 on the DS way back in the day. And those games were awesome. They were a ton of fun. I loved them. It's just at the same time, it's like, man, it'd be kind of cool if I could get Heavy Arms in here, and you know, we could do more of that style stuff. You're right. Our Armored Core, man, I'm really excited about the remake of the games.
You think about like stuff that just like would be great as a game nowadays, right? Like having Mazinger, you know, and I do that as a shout out to my buddy Mazin. He's a big fan too. But like just like all the different mechs in that and the monsters and everything, it would be fantastic to play that. Like,
that's really funny because I was just thinking if like a wish list game, all the famous kaijus from like all the Toho stuff, the Shogun Warriors, the giant mechs, covering everything from Robotech all the way up to Pacific Rim, and have this just one free for all of it in one, and just see where it goes. Yeah,
man, being able to be in an Evangelion and fighting against like a Gundam or
Evangelion versus Godzilla,
and it's all the different versions of Godzilla. So you got the 2014 or the
but you would start out with the original. You would start out with the original 65 or 66 one, and then as time went on, you could upgrade him and make him all the way up to the current one.
But it'd be cool because you could get like Ultraman and
right, man. I'd like to see Ultraman and like Raiden, or is that right? Not Raiden. Is it Raiden?
Yeah,
is my favorite one. I can't remember the name of it. That's great. Well done. You know, Guy King and Jet Jaguar.
Oh, dude, yeah, man. Like this, it would be great. It's all out like
if somebody could go and get the
4-player,
yes,
all out attack where everybody can play. It needs to be cross play. and so you can play it on either on your PC, your Xbox, your PlayStation. I mean,
Yeah.
oh, that'd be so great.
Yeah. All right. Now the big question is, what game format are we looking at? Not like Xbox or something like that. I mean, are we talking about RPG, turn-based?
No, this would be an all-out, like just all-out battle royal. That'd be really cool.
Would it be just like a fight game, but 4-player fight game? I mean,
that's what I would do, is do like a 4-player fight game. But if you wanted to play single player, you could have bots with you, or you could do like a story mode where you're like playing through, like each character has their own little, like, you know, maybe a short story mode they go through, or it's just big epic story. Then you play through like certain parts of these missions as certain characters, so you get kind of familiar with the styles of combat and their play style they do. I don't know. That'd be really cool.
It would be. That right there. I could just see if they came out with that, we'd all be getting a copy of it. All right.
I mean, because you could add, you know, Super Sentai for the Power Rangers
Yes.
crew, you know, but they would have to be characters that grow in size. You can't like add characters that, you know, they're only human size, and you know.
No, it would have to be the giant mechs. It would have to be on par. You know, you could do a Voltron, but it has to be, you know, it has to be Voltron already.
Yeah.
Like do a cutscene where they're all forming Voltron and then have Voltron to play.
Now that would be kind of cool, is you have like a Voltron game where you play as Voltron, but you have 5 people as the robots, the lions, and then when they form together as Voltron himself, they, you know, one person has to do the leg, the other has to, so you have to learn.
Yes. A co-op game.
Yeah.
So there was a game that sort of kind of did that. At least the first one, it was called like Super Robot Mech Arena or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And in the very first one, you actually had buttons that were like, so each of the trigger buttons was tied to different limbs, and so each one actually you would do different attacks between the different limbs through the trigger buttons that you use. They came out with a second one, and all the DLC for it has been Ultraman, but it plays completely differently. It's more just a straight up arena fighter, which is kind of sad.
I picked it up on the PS5, I believe.
I mean, it's an entertaining little game, but the first one I felt like had a little bit more character to it, just because of just the way that it played was so different from anything else I'd really gotten into. It was cool to sit there and like charge up a punch, and you just see like some of the mechs, like one of the mechs, you would charge up the punch for it, and there would be like a little rocket that would be on their back of their arm that would start to energize. And so then it was the classic kind of robots where they weren't fast, right? They were kind of slow, lumbering kind of robots. And so it was kind of cool to see that. And then, they kind of went away from that to more of a, generic arena fighter, which again, it's fun.
It would be cool.
Having Ultraman in it and just blasting everybody with his beam is pretty sweet.
Specimen beam or whatever.
Whatever it was, yeah.
So I gotta ask, did either of you ever play back whenever Clover Studios became a thing before it got swallowed back up into Capcom? Did either of y'all ever play the game God Hand?
I missed out on it, but I think you can get it digitally on the PS3 right now.
Yeah, you can. I have it. It's a fun little game. But so because it's a theme for our show now, you take God Hand, right? Just running around, crazy, over the top, 3D, run around, beat them up. You can completely change. Like what was so cool about God Hand was you could actually change the way that you fought, right? Like you would unlock different attack types, so you could create your own little combos of how you would fight, and then you would get these weird, insane, over the top finishers. Like you could do Bruce Lee's 1-inch punch and just watch guys fly off in the distance and go full Team Rocket and turn into a little star in the sky, crap like that. Take that format and just give it Ricky O.
Huh.
Oh geez, Ricky O or One Punch Man, Saitama running around.
But see, Saitama's overpowered, right? Ricky, he can get damaged, right? Like you could have those moments where he gets like beat up really bad, and he's got to tie his tendons in his arm back together, and then it's magically healed in the next scene, right? like he gets his leg broken, and so for a while, like his leg is inverted,
Yeah.
right? The whole knee, and then you got to take the time to like pop it back into place. It's like it's not even how that would work, but who cares? It's Ricky.
It's Ricky. Yeah, he can heal himself no matter what, depending on what's going on.
Man. Yeah, absolutely.
He'd get crucified like Christ and still be able to come out with no problems.
Turn those nails into projectiles. And that's what it was.
Yeah. Or the razors in his mouth, and he just spits them out like it was nothing. And then like he's literally has razors out his freaking face, and the next thing you see him, he's all healed. He just got little cuts.
He's fine. He's good.
Super healing.
Yeah, I like it. It's good. It's good. It's good. I like it. Yeah. Now, okay, here's one.
Oh, there's Zora's Wrath too that was like that, where you played as the one dude who just kept on fighting gods and stuff, and just these bigger and bigger monsters.
To the point where you fight one that's like bigger than the planet, and all it is a finger like just coming down. Yeah, Zora's Wrath, man. That game was bad shit crazy. So there was one game that I went out and I decided to play because there aren't a lot of sports games I play, right? Like I play MLB The Show because I love MLB The Show. I love being a pitcher. I love striking people out because I can't do it in real life and it's fun. But one game that I did pick up, they did a video game based on Captain Tsubasa, right? The soccer anime, manga, all that crap. If you take that, but you transpose Shaolin soccer on top of it, right? And have it be all those crazy down and out guys, and then being able to play like creating different teams. So you would have all the other different teams, and you'd have people that have these awesome super shots and special abilities and all that. Like that Captain Tsubasa game really opened my eyes to the potentials for batshit crazy anime sports games, and I want more of them because it's so much more fun to kick a goal when before you do it, your dude kicks it, it turns into like a crazy spiraling spiky energy ball.
Singing from a
field spiraling back and forth, and then just goes into the goal as the goalie stands.
I would love a Shaolin soccer game. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, you could go the route like NBA Jam. You can have special power-ups.
Yeah.
From downfield.
From downtown.
Man, I miss NBA Jam. Like I tried playing 2K one day, and I'm like, this is too real. Yes, I've got it.
PS3, baby.
Love that, man.
I love it.
It's not. That version of it's trimmed down just a little bit, right? Like you don't have the random points that spawn out in the middle of nowhere that are worth like 8 points for no particular reason.
Yeah,
missed those portions.
PS2 one had that. Yeah, that was. I should go back and find it for PS2 because I got my PS2 sitting right here next to my 3.
Well, I still want a Blitzball game. It's just nothing but Final Fantasy X Blitzball. You know, I could play all the different cities with their Blitzball teams, the Besato Rocks.
Yeah, man, I sank a lot of hours into Blitzball for just because.
Yeah.
And really, really what sold that to me was whenever, you realize that, oh yeah, you don't have to constantly play with your crappy teammates. You can actually there's that whole team management thing where you can actually go out and get better players and bring them onto your team. Like whenever I found out that the game at a certain point, what was it? The Albed Sykes have like the best goalie in the entire game. And for no reason at all, at a certain point in the game, they just get rid of him. Yeah. And you can really quick and pick them up. It's like, come on, Nimruk. Come on over here.
Get over here, man.
Guard my goal. We're good.
I'm building the ultimate.
Okay, here's a genre mix up. Something like that would say Marvel characters. And it wouldn't be like the A-list stuff. It'd be like the B-list, the C-list characters. So you could have one team member be like Nimrod. Union Jack. Put them in those situations. Like take the format of NBA Jam and put it with 3-on-3 Marvel versus like DC or something. but no A or B list characters. They have to be C or lower.
Man, so that is definitely so not that it's a movie or a TV show, but that is one of the great missed opportunities, and that Marvel and DC have had, especially with the fact that there was all those rumors that NetherRealm was going to be making a Marvel fighting game, and they've already done DC versus MK. It's like, all right, guys, you've done the Injustice games, so we know you can do DC fighters. Disney, just give them Marvel and give us a Marvel versus DC fighting game.
Yeah,
please.
Because you got Marvel versus Capcom, which is not bad. So just take it all in just big old mosh game.
Yes,
absolutely.
Can we
Batman versus Captain America, baby?
Can we get a joke character as a video game? Four Bush Man would be great.
What is it? Ambush Bug.
There you go.
Ambush Bug, baby. Oh, that would just be Mrs. Pitalick. That. Now, come on. Who wouldn't want to have that game where you just got this imp who has unlimited power for whatever rings of time until you get rid of him? And either he could be the bad guy in the game and you have to find a way to get him to say his name backwards, or you be him and try and avoid them getting you to say your name backwards. It would work both ways.
Game.
What's that?
Howard the Duck is a game. Would be great.
That. No, let's double check that. That might have been a game because of the original movie.
I don't know. Look.
That I don't know why, but suddenly my brain is telling me that there was a game, some kind of crap game for it, which is possible, but I don't know. But yes, a Howard the Duck game would be great. And again, have him encounter the characters who are C-list and D-list, like the dog, Astro the dog there, whatever it is. That's in Guardians.
Yeah, there was one on the Commodore 64, ZX Spectrum.
So it's been a minute.
Yeah. Looks nothing like what we played. So I mean, like what we saw on the show. No, I think there was. Hold on. I thought there was one on the NES too, but I could be wrong.
But yeah, Howard the Duck would be a fun game. I mean, it would have to be open world.
Yeah, there wasn't one on the NES.
Howard the Duck would have to be open world. There's no way around it.
There's a genre that we're kind of leaving out of all these games. And as I'm scrolling through the list of all the movies I own, I see a movie that I haven't watched in a very long time, and I need to go sit down and watch it again with the wife because it spoke about as deeply to her as Office Space spoke to me, just because of the different work environments that we've been in over our lives. But the movie Waiting, right, with Ryan Reynolds and all them, and so the entire concept of it would be a Overcooked, right, where you're actually having to put together food and dishes and go out and serve it to people, but at the same time you're having to interact with these people, and if they're being super dicks to you, then a part of the gameplay would also be doing absolutely horrific things to their food. We got to figure out what movie or TV show we would turn into a dating sim. All right, we got to figure that out.
Now that, honestly, that would be where the soap operas would come in.
Mallrats.
Mallrats would be good.
Mallrats would be pretty good. Mallrats would be all right. I like that.
Chasing Amy. If we stick with the Kevin Smith stuff for a minute.
Kevin Smith style, yeah. I mean, you could take almost any Kevin Smith movie and throw it into it, right?
Oh man, you would need to do Clerks as a beat 'em up, man.
Yes.
Randall and Dante, fighting off the customers at the store. They're outside the quickie stop, and then at the video store. Them at the funeral. Them at the rooftop.
Well, see, but if you're going to do that, Mallrats would almost work better because then you could be like throwing chocolate pretzels at people, right? You could have the different characters having different attack types that are based on the various things they did in the movie.
Well,
which all the best powers would be coming from Jason Lee, right? Because he would have like all
or Jason Lee, yeah.
Yeah, so you would basically have a game, the View Askew verse.
Yeah.
and then have all of the components in there and just jumble them around.
There you go. I like it. And then if you really wanted to get nuts with it, you have the dogma portion, right?
Right.
Throw those guys in there. You start fighting against archangels and poop monsters and all the other goodness. It'd be fantastic.
And that's the thing. And then it becomes an RPG.
Yeah, that's just it.
Then you can like have the different versions of Jason Lee, the different versions of Dante.
Yeah.
And what would be great is that you'd have to pick like which version of Ben Affleck you would want to be, right?
Or Matt Damon, yeah.
Do you want to be Archangel version of him? Do you want to be, regular dude version of him?
Which versions of Jay and Silent Bob? I mean, even though they're all similar,
but they had the superhero versions of themselves whenever they went and they did the movie, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you'd have
Chronic Man and Blunt or something like that. Was it Blunt Man and Chronic?
Blunt Man and Chronic.
Yeah.
Yes. And then you could have Mark Hamill reprise his role as a villain in there.
Yeah, it's Cockknocker.
Cockknocker, that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it. And what would be great is Silent Bob's ultimate attack would basically be him being like Black Bolt, right?
When he speaks, it's just all devastating.
Destroys everything.
It just creates this giant boom that knocks everybody down.
No, even better. It would be him just going like this and going like, and then Alanis Morissette comes down and just does her voice and it destroys anything in front of her because she's God, and the voice of God destroys everything.
Yeah.
The old AVP beat 'em up, right? The one that they've never re-released for some god awful reason, and I wish they would. Where what was it, Predator, right? Predator, he would take off his mask for some reason and look up into space again for some reason, and it would like rain lightning down and like wipe out everything on the map. Yeah, except it would be like Silent Bob just kind of like picking up his hat a little bit and scratching his head, and Alanis Morissette coming down and just laying waste to everybody.
Well, okay, so this is definitely now got to be a beat 'em up. It goes to the whole View Askew universe, but it's like Scott Pilgrim, so you actually like level up as you go through.
Yes.
And it's 4-player. And it's got to be, cartoon like Scott Pilgrim or like the Clark's cartoon.
Okay, yeah.
So you can go up against Leonardo.
No. Well, see now you're talking. See now because you could actually add the Clerks cartoon to it as another version of the characters.
Yeah.
There you go.
Have it like the new Chip and Dale movie, where there's different versions of them running around at the same time on this one flat surface or something. Everything's like 2D, but the characters are 3D or something.
All right.
And it all ends with Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back.
Just ends the entire credits of it would just be Jay and Silent Bob standing outside the store and Jay just rapping as credits. Right,
rapping all the credits.
Their monkey, shows up. He's like gets on Jay's shoulder, and they start walking off at the end.
I like it.
Yeah.
All
right, so I think we've rambled on enough about nonsense. And
I think we've put out enough positive ideas into the universe. Anybody who wants to pick up one of these ideas, just please
just give us credit.
Just give us a shout out.
Credit and royalties in the mail will be fantastic. Because I got a kid who's going to be going to college here not too long in a handful of years, so it really helped with that fund to press forward with it. But yeah, so I like it. I like these ideas. It's good, right? Always on those kind of hard, rough days and weeks. It's good just to get a little levity in there.
Yeah, exactly. To kind of like just let off some steam.
Yeah, keeps you going.
I think we did that nicely.
So everyone, we hope you enjoyed. We hope y'all have a good week. Hug your kids if you got them. Keep them close. And until
play
then,
some games with them.
Play some games with them. Watch a movie. Make them feel special. Be a part of their lives. Even though if you already are, just make it extra special. Have a great one. We will see you next week. And stay awesome, everyone.
Deuces.